5 years ago, I set out on the most epic adventure of my life, riding a bike to the South Pole. This is my story. Last week, I started to have mechanical problems with my bike. I spent Christmas alone in the middle of Antarctica. But on the bright side, I got to talk to my daughter who was on a mission in Croatia.
December 28th, Jules Corner. I knew that Jules Corner was about halfway between where I started and the South Pole, which would be about 85 degrees. Apparently I hadn't really paid good attention to the GPS locations of where it was because it was actually another 5 miles past the halfway point. But I made it to the Jules Corner.
Okay, I'm at my second cache, 85 degrees, about 5 minutes south, a little more than halfway done. It means I think I now hold all the world records for travel in Antarctica by bike, but haven't gotten to the South Pole yet, obviously, but we'll be getting that soon. Well, not real soon. Still got a month to go. Feeling kind of good right now because I'm at the halfway spot, but I try not to think too much about the fact that that means I still have as far to go as what I've gone. I've got things figured out a lot better. I can travel better now. I wasted a lot of time in the first couple weeks constantly readjusting stuff, trying to figure out how to make everything work right, and so I lost a lot of time every day doing that, besides the fact that it was so steep and soft and hard and everything that it's just a lot of work, and my sleds were just so heavy. One of the things that made the sleds heavy for that start was I put honey stinger waffles and sports beans. I put it all in the start. First couple of weeks I was eating the waffles and the sports beans as fast as I could to try to reduce my total weight. I didn't know if I had put any in halfway cache or not. Just went through all the stuff in the halfway cache and I didn't. So I finished off the last of the sports beans on the ride today, which is not good. Trying to eat the regular food through the day just doesn't give me the quick energy that I need, but it is what it is. Today's Saturday, December 28th. Tomorrow is Sunday. I am going to stay where I am tomorrow. First couple weeks about killed me with trying to pull that sled up that steep slope through the snow and everything. I just couldn't. It was just too hard to move. And so I am going to spend my rest day organizing all my gear and stuff. One of the things I don't know is they're sending me a new wheel. I don't know if that wheel will have a cassette on it or not. I don't have a tool to move the cassette over, so if it doesn't have a cassette on it, I'm going to have to try hammering it off. I've been eating, well, I've got too much food. Today was really bad as far as my wheel because I've got the cassette wired to the spokes, and so then when I pedal hard it pulls on the cassette. I end up with the chains jumping a lot. Borealis is sending a new wheel to me. It'd be cool if it was here now and they could just drop it off. I'm at the little airstrip here at Fields Mountain, but they're going to put it in my next cache, so I asked them if they'd move the cache. It was originally going to be at 87.5 degrees, and I asked them to put it at 86.5 instead, which would actually be good in a couple ways. One, and then I get my wheel sooner, and so if I can keep that 16-mile-a-day pace, which I think I got to do, that puts me about 20 days out, plus my Sundays, so 23 days or so to be able to finish. Having that cache early will get me my wheel early. And the other thing is I just have way too much food overall, and so I can reduce how much food I take with me from here to the next cache, and then when I pick up all that extra food at the next cache, I won't be stuck with as much extra food because I won't have to take as much from here. I'm just a ugly mess as far as hygiene, pretty much wearing the same clothes every day, and I sweat like really bad while I'm riding, so I smell so bad. It is even hard for me to stand sometimes, but it is what it is. Looks like I should be able to complete the journey successfully, except I've been having so much problems with the bike. It's been driving me crazy. Now I just need to see if I can't make it to the next cache. Too bad they don't have the wheel there yet. If they had it there now, maybe I hang around here until they could fly it out, but I get it when I get it.
And a little video of myself. I'm getting kind of ugly looking.
That's just the way it is.
December 30th. I got 20 miles in, but overall it was a bad day. It started out fine. It was sunny and low winds. As I was getting ready to go, a guy walked up to me. His expedition had arrived at Jules Corner along with another expedition while I was sleeping. He was the driver of an Arctic truck that was supporting a lady that rode a three-wheeled trike to the pole. He said she had to take all her gear off of the trike and put it in the truck, and then was able to travel well. But the three wheels made 3 paths in the snow, and so the only way that it worked was the fact that they were riding on the U.S. maintained road that they used to supply the South Pole. The guy said that for the most part it was worked out pretty easy for her being on the packed surface. So Maria was actually pretty clever about how she did this. She kept her expedition a secret from everyone else, so we didn't know about it till really late. And then what she did is she had a truck go with her, which was a lot more expensive than what we were doing. And also she started at the bottom of the Leverett Glacier, which made her the distance she had to travel compared to what I was doing. She was traveling half the distance, and she was still starting from the coast, but it's a lot more expensive. It's like at least 5 times as expensive to start from there compared to where I was starting. The big reason for me that I consider my expedition a completely different thing than what she did was that I was on a bike, she was on a trike. And you might say, well, that's kind of a semantic thing. But the thing is with the trike, she was able to go at whatever speed worked for her to be able to maintain her temperature and work. But on a bike, there's a minimum speed I have to go or I would tip over. Made what I was doing completely different than where you are on a trike that isn't going to tip over from side to side. That is why I don't have any problem saying I'm the first one to bike to the South Pole, where she triked to the South Pole. She made it in a lot less time. The pack trail and everything was a lot easier for her, so I think it took like 10 days. After I left her, I continued on, and there had been a truck that was driving back from the South Pole to Union Glacier, and it had broken down. Snowcat had gone out to rescue this truck, and so that had made a nice path for me to be able to follow in. And so when it passed me, it left behind just soft snow that was very hard to ride in. But still, I was able to get 10 miles in less than 5 hours, so I was pretty happy with that. But then that's when things started to get really bad. So the hub on my rear wheel had broken quite some time ago, and so I had taken some wire and I wrapped the wire around the spokes and around the cassette and made it so that I could continue to pedal my bike forward. But as I would pedal, the wires would tighten up, and they didn't tighten up evenly, and so it pulled the cassette crooked. The chain would drop into a lower gear or drop between the spokes and jam up, and finally got to where I just couldn't do it anymore. And so I set up my tent and brought it all inside and took it and cut all the wire off and cleaned it all off and took it off. And when I pulled the hub apart, all the bearings in the free hub just fell into the bottom of my tent, and it was just a total mess. And so as I looked at that, I thought, there's no way I'm going to be able to get this put back together and be able to make it work. So I figure, well, I'm going to just have to walk until I can get to the cache where I'm going to get the new wheel. December 31st in the morning, I decided to give the wheel another try. When I put the wheel together, it seemed like I was able to get the cassette to go into the right place and it's centered. I used some tie wire and did my best job to make it a more sturdy wire job. I said a prayer for help. I know God can make it work if He wants, but the question is that what He wants for me? December 31st p.m. It worked. I was careful about not pushing too hard so I wouldn't break it again. but amazingly, the wheel worked. strange thing when I woke up this morning. I was laying in my tent and I felt like I was camping in a forest, and it felt so real. I mean, I was totally convinced that was really what was out there. But I knew I was in the middle of Antarctica and there was no forest and no path, nothing but white.
This is an unwanted lunch break. It's always good to eat and stuff, but my wheel is broken again, and so I'm stopped to be able to do a repair on it. So got some water on boil to get some lunch going while I'm doing this. And just to kind of show the mess here, there's my wheel and the wires are all a mess. I thought, okay, I'm done, that's all my wire, but then I realized I've got some wire that is part of the tent that I can steal from the tent. I've got some wire in the hood of my jacket, and I've got some wire in my hood of my parka, so I am going to try rewiring this. So I'm just going to set the camera over here and let it run while I do this, and we'll see how that goes. So I guess if I go like that, I can see what the camera is seeing. Kind of bad. See if we can some more snow in my pot here for my lunch. Used this several times to fix it. This little multi-tool I bought from Cabela's. It's been a very useful item. So first thing I'm going to do is clean out all the wire that's in here. And I thought I turned that off. After I got mostly ready this morning, I thought I'd take a little nap, and so I set a little timer so I wouldn't nap too long. And I guess it's been going off every 20 minutes. Getting me a new wheel, so I'm waiting for it to arrive. It's hopefully in Punta Arenas by now, and then they've got to fly it out here. May even be in Antarctica by now. I don't know. I just went to pedal today and went to crank down the pedals, and everything just spun except for the rear wheel. All these wires got sheared off. And I do it a little bit different than last time. Last time I took and wrapped wires around and around and around. And I started thinking back to wiring, fixing fences, making fences with my dad, and teaching me how to tie the fence to the fence post. And started thinking, you know, it'd be better if I took and just did a good strong wire like tying to a fence post. Oh, that's wire's kind of thin. I made a mistake and I should have gotten heavier gauge wire. When I was getting all my stuff getting ready to go, I stopped at hardware store and bought some wire, some tie wire. I should have gotten a heavier gauge wire. Okay, in a while that'll be lunch. I've got too much fuel. I'll let that keep going and just use it as a keep my tent warm. It's a miracle this thing has worked as well as it has. That being all floppy like that. This whole setup has taken a lot of abuse. I'm pulling a very heavy load in soft snow, and I am cranking hard on the pedals a lot. So it's been pretty hard on this fore rear wheel. Okay, I think that removes all the old wire. Now the question here, this is just aluminum. Not particularly strong wire. Okay, here's my new wire job. Looks pretty bad. Hopefully that'll hold till I get my new wheel. Okay, just finishing up with my brake here. Pack up my bags and get ready to go. I'm going to try a bold new plan. So it is 11:50 at night. I am going to, it's Friday night. I'm going to try to do 30 miles every day for the rest of the time. I'm at 86.5 degrees right now, so another half a degree will get me to 87. So if the first day of the plan works, then I should be at 87 at the end of the day tomorrow. Sunday I am going to take a rest day, and then Monday through Saturday I'm going to try to do 30 miles a day. If I am able to do 30 miles a day, then that should get me to the pole Saturday. Actually, probably get me there. I'll be a little bit short of the pole because it's 30 degrees each day would get me there, but 30 miles is a little bit short of 30 degrees, especially since there's a little jog I have to make around a crevasse field. So, but I'm going to go with 30 miles, and then we'll look at making up the rest as needed. It's a pretty bold plan. I haven't done 30 miles in a day yet, but I think it might be possible. Right now, the first part of the plan is not going too well, as a fog bank has moved in, and so that means very low visibility, cold, and so not the greatest for biking, but gonna try to do it anyway. And so I'm gonna see if I can't do a little video update each day from here on out, see how we go. I'm about ready to go. I took a little bit of a break here. About what I can afford to take a little bit of a break. It's gonna, my speed on the bike ends up being about over an extended period of time about 2 knots that I average. So if I can do a 10 hour ride at 2 knots, that's 20 miles, so 15 hours. So my plan is it's almost midnight, so if I'm moving by 1 o'clock, then I finish my ride by 9, my first ride, so that gives me 8 hours, hopefully 16 miles, and then I take a break and be back moving again by 1 o'clock and finish by 9, so that would give me 16 hours total of travel time, and so hopefully in that 16 hours I can get 30 miles. If I get my 30 miles early, I'll quit early. If I don't get my 30 miles in that 16 hours, then I guess we'll see what happens. Mostly what this amounts to is I am ready to be done. And I started thinking about that last degree. Could I just bike that final degree as a one big thing? So it would be 60 miles. Could I do 60 miles at the end and just get done with it? And then that idea just grew into this idea of doing 30 miles a day. If I do 30 miles a day, I get done on next Saturday and I can go home. If I do my normal 16 miles a day, then I get done basically takes an extra week. And so if I can cut my time in half and be done with this, then that'll be awesome. And if it doesn't work and I end up going back to my normal 16, 18 miles a day, that's fine too. I'll still finish. I'm just ready to be done, so I'm gonna try to push it a little bit further, faster. So about ready. I got to turn off my stove, let it cool down. I think that's it. So it's all midnight, and it gives me an hour to finish packing and get the sleds all on board and get going. So that's going to be the plan. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. Am I successful at getting my 30 miles a day? Well, I guess you'll have to tune in next week to see.
As I go up in elevation, the air gets colder and thinner. They say that in Antarctica, the physiological effect of the altitude is like being 2,000 feet higher. So far, that altitude hasn't been a problem for me.